They were not cast out of heaven in open war, a grand celestial battle against a dark lord instead. They descended by a terrible choice. These were the first angels to turn their gaze from the divine, captivated by the ephemeral beauty of the mortal world. Their story is the very forbidden origin of demonology, a chilling chronicle far older than any mention of Satan, long buried within apocryphal scriptures and esoteric whispers. It speaks of lust, defiance, and a profound corruption that tore the fabric of creation itself. And once you learn why they fell, how their celestial forms bent to earthly desire, you may never look at angels the same way again. This is not just the story of rebellion, it is the story of seduction, of knowledge, and of eternal punishment, unfolding from the very dawn of time. To truly comprehend the genesis of cosmic evil, one must turn to accounts largely excised from accepted canons, specifically the ancient, apocalyptic text known as the Book of Enoch. This narrative recounts a period in primordial history, long before the Great Deluge, when the earth, though burgeoning with humanity, remained a relatively pristine and vulnerable realm. High above, beyond the vaulted expanse of the human sky, vast legions of celestial beings, known as the Watchers, were assigned a sacred, solemn duty to observe, to protect, and to witness the unfolding of creation's grand design. They served as divine sentinels, beings of immense power, pure light, and sublime, inherent knowledge. However, their sacred duty gradually transformed into an agonizing torment. From their celestial vantage point, they gazed down upon the developing human world, observing humanity as it multiplied across the nascent earth. Their eyes lingered upon the daughters of men, beings described as vibrant, beautiful, and embodying a grace and fragility utterly captivating to these heavenly observers. What began as observation curdled into profound desire. Their celestial purpose began to warp, consumed by a forbidden longing, a searing, carnal lust that was entirely alien to their divine nature. The Book of Enoch chillingly details their collective fall. It speaks of 200 watchers, led by their chieftain, Semjaza, gathering on the vast, empty expanse of Mount Hermon. There, they made a solemn, blasphemous pact, binding themselves with mutual imprecations, swearing an oath that they would all descend to earth, and there, each would choose human wives. They declared their shared sin, knowing there would be no turning back from this terrible covenant, no individual escape from the collective damnation. The ground of Mount Hermon must have trembled, a cosmic shift echoing through the very fabric of reality, as these divine beings descended. Their forms, once ethereal, began shedding the sublime, taking on a more tangible, horrifying physicality, their celestial glory visibly dimmed by earthly desire. They took human wives from among the daughters of men, not in a union of divine love, but in a calculated act of profound transgression, a direct violation of both natural and divine law. The result of this unholy mingling was the birth of grotesque, monstrous offspring giants, known as the Nephilim. One can only imagine these unnatural births, the grotesque fusion of divine essence and mortal flesh, bringing forth beings of immense stature and terrifying, insatiable appetites. Their very existence, a cosmic abomination, a living affront to creation. But the Watchers' corruption did not cease with the birth of their colossal progeny. These fallen celestials, now deeply enmeshed in earthly affairs and driven by their distorted desires, began to teach humanity forbidden knowledge, secrets that were never meant for mortal minds, gifts that rapidly twisted into devastating curses. Azazel, a prominent Watcher, instructed men in the gruesome art of warfare, how to forge deadly weapon swords, shields, and breastplates from metals, turning the earth's bounty into instruments of mass destruction. He also, with insidious intent, taught women the arts of cosmetics and adornment, revealing how to beautify their eyelids with antimony, to craft elaborate jewelry from precious stones, and to use paints and powders. This teaching, one perceives, was not about enhancing natural beauty, but about artifice, vanity, and a material obsession that detached humanity from spiritual truths, cultivating a culture of superficiality, deceit, and conflict, accelerating societal decay. Semjaza, their chieftain, revealed the dark secrets of sorcery and root cuttings, empowering humans with forbidden enchantments and occult practices, blurring the lines between healing and hexing, between nature's magic and black magic. Others, like Kokabel, taught astrology, binding human fate to celestial movements instead of divine will, fostering fear and superstition. You can imagine a world where divine beings walk among men, teaching them how to make war, how to cast spells, how to corrupt their very essence. This profound corruption, ignited by the Watcher's teachings, spread across the land like a virulent spiritual plague, polluting the very essence of humanity. The forbidden gifts accelerated human ambition and violence, culminating in the emergence of the ravenous Nephilim, who devoured the sustenance of humanity, turning to cannibalism and spilling innocent blood across the land. One senses the growing tension in the heavens, the palpable, simmering divine wrath that began to build, observing the horrific perversion of a world once pure. The very air seemed to thicken with an impending doom, a cosmic reckoning for the sheer audacity of these fallen stars. To understand the full gravity of the Watcher's transgression, one must delve into the specific nature of the forbidden knowledge they bestowed upon humanity. These were not benign gifts, but dangerous tools that ignited a dark, uncontrollable spark within the mortal soul, setting the stage for unimaginable suffering and perversion. Each Watcher, a unique repository of celestial wisdom, imparted a distinct form of corruption, systematically dismantling the natural order God had intended. Consider Azazel, one of the most prominent among them. His teachings were multifaceted and devastating. He instructed men in the rigorous art of forging weapons, not just crude tools, but sophisticated instruments of death like swords, daggers, and body armor such as breastplates. He taught them how to extract and refine metals from the earth, turning base elements into instruments designed for lethal conflict, fundamentally altering the nature of human aggression. But his influence extended beyond the battlefield. He also instructed women in the use of cosmetics and adornments, teaching them how to beautify their eyelids with antimony, to craft intricate bracelets and other jewelry from precious metals and stones. The insidious nature of this teaching becomes clear. It wasn't about enhancing natural beauty or modest adornment, but about artifice, vanity, and an insatiable material obsession that profoundly detached humanity from spiritual truths, cultivating a culture of superficiality, deceit, and conflict, accelerating societal decline into self-absorption and conflict. Then there was Semjaza, the chieftain of the Watchers, whose transgression was equally profound. He revealed the secrets of enchantments and root cuttings, teaching humans how to manipulate unseen forces, how to conjure spells, and how to craft poisons from the earth's bounty. This knowledge granted immediate, terrifying power, but it came at the cost of innocence and spiritual balance, leading to the rampant practice of divination, necromancy, and dark sorcery. Humanity gained the ability to interfere with nature and destiny, bypassing divine decree for personal gain. Other Watchers contributed their own dangerous gifts. Barakajal taught the signs of the lightning, allowing humans to predict destructive storms. Kokabel instructed in the knowledge of the constellations, twisting the study of celestial bodies into astrology, binding human fate to distant stars instead of divine will. Artaf taught the movements of the moon, revealing lunar cycles that became intertwined with occult practices and dark rituals. Each piece of knowledge, though seemingly scientific, practical, or aesthetic, was considered profoundly dangerous because it gave humans divine power prematurely, bypassing the natural evolutionary path of spiritual understanding and moral responsibility. It was akin to handing a loaded gun to a child without any instruction in its proper use or the consequences of its power. One might pause to consider why this specific knowledge was so utterly forbidden. It was not that the information itself was inherently evil, for God created all elements and celestial movements. Rather, it was the context of its delivery and humanity's profound unpreparedness for it. This celestial wisdom was divine power, meant to be gradually unfolded through spiritual maturity, acquired through righteous living and divine grace, not forcefully downloaded by rebellious angels. The Watchers' actions bypassed divine pedagogy, corrupting humanity by empowering them with abilities they were not ready to comprehend or control. It blurred the fundamental lines between creator and created, causing humanity to believe they could transcend their mortal limitations through forbidden, shortcut means, leading to spiritual pride and destruction. This narrative of forbidden knowledge finds striking parallels in myths from other ancient cultures, reinforcing its archetypal power. One recalls Prometheus from Greek mythology, who defiantly stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity, enduring eternal punishment for his transgression. Like the Watchers, Prometheus brought enlightenment, or technology, prematurely, incurring divine wrath for empowering mortals beyond their ordained station. There are also echoes in the Apkallu of Mesopotamian lore, wise, fish-like beings who brought civilization and knowledge to humanity before the Great Flood, though their role is generally portrayed as benevolent, not corrupting. Yet, the underlying motif of divine or semi-divine beings imparting knowledge to humans before its time, leading to profound consequences, resonates deeply across diverse cultures. It was knowledge mankind wasn't meant to hold, and now you're seeing why, watching the threads of cosmic order unravel. The Watchers, one realizes, are not simple villains, but complex, tragic figures, part bold rebels, challenging the divine hierarchy, part desperate teachers, seeking a perverse connection with the mortal world, and ultimately, insidious corruptors, driven by their own fatal desires and warped perceptions of compassion. Their very essence became a paradox, beings of pure light twisting into instruments of darkness, their celestial brilliance now dimmed by terrestrial lust and defiance. Their descent and their subsequent teachings fundamentally blurred the line between the angelic and the demonic. They were the original bridge, the first architects of chaos who introduced the very concept of spiritual malevolence into the human realm, not as an innate, primal force of evil, but as a perversion of divine potential. This initial corruption, one understands, was far more insidious than a singular act. It was a comprehensive re-education of humanity in the arts of self-destruction and spiritual decay, setting the stage for all future demonic influence and the great cosmic struggle that would follow. The cosmic tremor finally erupted as divine patience, strained to its breaking point, shattered under the weight of the Watchers' transgressions and humanity's accelerating corruption. The heavens, once filled with immutable light, darkened with an impending, righteous fury. One witnesses the solemn pronouncements of God's judgment, not delivered in a single, cataclysmic flash, but through the decrees delivered by his most holy archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. Their voices echo across the celestial spheres, condemning the Watchers for their unspeakable transgression, their violation of cosmic law. The punishment decreed was swift and absolute, the eternal imprisonment of the Watchers. One envisions the very fabric of the earth opening up, not to simply swallow them whole, but to reveal vast, subterranean chambers, an abyssal realm prepared for their torment. One hears their agonizing, guttural cries as they are seized, bound by celestial chains forged from divine will, and inexorably cast into the deep. This chthonic prison, often referred to as Sheol or Tartarus in ancient texts, was a dark, desolate realm of unyielding torment beneath the very foundations of the world. One can almost hear their chains, a metallic clang that reverberates through the very bedrock of existence, echoing with their eternal despair, their endless lamentations. This was not merely a dungeon, it was the foundational act of cosmic justice, laying the very groundwork for what humanity would later conceive of as hell. Their suffering, their unceasing cries, their eternal binding created the chilling blueprint for realms of ultimate torment, shaping the nascent concept of damnation and eternal separation from the divine. But the judgment extended far beyond the Watchers themselves. The very reason for their terrible imprisonment was the existence of their monstrous progeny, the Nephilim, whose violence and depravity had stained the earth. The Great Flood, one realizes, was not merely a divine punishment for general human wickedness, as is often taught, but a cataclysmic, brutal act designed specifically to purge the earth of their monstrous offspring, the Nephilim. One feels the rising waters, not just as a natural disaster of unimaginable scale, but as a cosmic deluge of purification, washing away the abominations, scrubbing the land clean of their grotesque lineage. Every wave, every crashing torrent, was an act of divine exorcism, designed to erase the physical manifestation of the Watcher's sin, to reset creation. One sees the entire world submerged, utterly cleansed, and then reborn, a stark and terrifying testament to the severity of the Watcher's initial transgression and the unwavering divine resolve to restore cosmic order. Their punishment, so absolute and primordial, fundamentally laid the foundation for the burgeoning concepts of hell, and demonology that would permeate apocalyptic literature and later religious doctrines. The abyss into which they were cast became the prototype of eternal damnation, a place of no return, a realm of perpetual darkness and suffering. Their suffering served as the ultimate warning against challenging divine law, against crossing the sacred boundaries. One comes to understand that demons, in this ancient tradition, are not born evil in a vacuum. Rather, they are the twisted, broken remnants of divine beings, perverted by their own rebellion and the agonizing consequences of their choice to violate sacred boundaries. They are the celestial castaways, forever scarred by their decision to defy the Creator. The remnants of these imprisoned watchers, those who rebelled and were cast out, became the first true demons. Their original divine names, Azazel, Simjaza, Kokabelno, irrevocably associated with corruption, infernal power, and the deepest malevolence. They represent the primal archetype of cosmic defiance, beings of light who actively chose darkness, angels who, by their own will, became devils. Their binding in the abyss, their lamentations echoing through eternity, created a resonance, a frequency of torment that would forever be associated with demonic realms. One feels the cold breath of the abyss, the echo of their suffering, understanding that this ancient act of divine retribution shaped not just human history, but the very architecture of spiritual realms, giving birth to the terrifying concept of hell itself, a place forged from the anguish of fallen stars. If these beings could fall so far, what chance do the rest of us have? One might be inclined to think that after their millennial imprisonment in the desolate abyss, the Watcher's story would effectively end, sealed away in obscure, forgotten texts and ancient lore. But the chilling truth is far more unsettling. Their influence, their corrupted legacy, still persists today, weaving its insidious threads through the complex tapestry of human belief, secret practices, and even modern fears. One begins to trace their spectral footsteps, sensing their unseen hand in the shadows of the contemporary world, shaping destinies from the depths. The theories abound, whispered in esoteric circles and pursued by dedicated occultists, that the Watcher's influence manifests directly through various occult traditions, perpetuating the very forbidden knowledge they once bestowed upon humanity. One considers the possibility that certain secret societies, cloaked in mystery and obsessed with ancient lore and hidden power, are not merely seeking earthly dominion, but actively attempting to commune with the spiritual remnants of these fallen angels, to tap into the very wellspring of forbidden wisdom that once corrupted primordial humanity. One perceives how their symbols, their complex rituals, and their secretive hierarchies might be directly derived from the original teachings of Azazel or Semjaza, passed down through a hidden, unbroken lineage of initiates over millennia. Some speculate about modern fallen angel worship, where these ancient rebels are revered as misunderstood benefactors, as liberators who bravely gifted humanity with enlightenment and technology, rather than seeing them as corruptors who led humanity to ruin. This perverse veneration seeks to reclaim the power that was once deemed blasphemous, blurring the sacred lines between divine wisdom and infernal magic, creating a dangerous spiritual path. Their indelible legacy is undeniably etched into the very fabric of later demonology, while subsequent theological traditions expanded the vast pantheon of hell, introducing various classes and hierarchies of infernal beings. The Watchers are frequently named as primordial figures, princes of hell, or powerful rulers of hidden realms, their original divine names twisted into terrifying, infernal titles. One might encounter their names Azazel, Belial, Semyaza, Armoros listed in ancient grimoires and forbidden texts, described as formidable entities to be invoked, feared, or commanded. Their domains, their areas of influence, often directly reflect the forbidden knowledge they originally taught, solidifying their role as foundational demonic archetypes. One begins to understand how their story provided the foundational myth for the entire concept of a complex hierarchy of evil, a shadow government of fallen celestial beings. Their narrative extends even into more nuanced mystical traditions, such as certain strands of Kabbalah, particularly the Lurianic Kabbalah, and various Gnostic texts, where the Watchers are not simply evil demons, but complex, often ambivalent figures. In some Gnostic narratives, they are seen as misguided benefactors who inadvertently aided humanity, or even as lower, ignorant deities, archons, who, in their flawed attempts at creation, unwittingly imprisoned humanity in the material world. Yet, paradoxically, the knowledge they conveyed could be a key to liberation from that very imprisonment. In certain Kabbalistic interpretations, their descent is understood as a necessary breaking of vessels in the cosmic drama, a fragmentation that allowed for the subsequent creation and emanation of divine light. Even if unintended and painful, one sees how their names appear in esoteric seals and sigils, revered or feared as gatekeepers of forbidden power, their very essence holding fragments of divine light twisted into formidable, dangerous darkness. Initiates, in their perilous pursuit of ultimate knowledge, seek to access their wisdom, believing that mastery over these fallen entities can unlock profound spiritual or magical abilities, treading a fine, precarious line towards enlightenment or absolute destruction. The chilling question remains, echoing through the ages and penetrating your very consciousness. Did the Watchers truly fall, bound forever in the abyss? Is their imprisonment merely a facade? Their influence subtle, pervasive, and unseen? Are they still watching, still guiding, still manipulating the affairs of mankind from their abyssal chains? Their dark legacy playing out in cycles throughout human history. Their story reminds one that the boundaries between light and shadow, heaven and hell, knowledge and corruption, are far more permeable and intertwined than one might ever dare to believe. One feels an unsettling presence, a sense of being constantly observed, as one grapples with the enduring legacy of these original architects of spiritual rebellion and the ancient architects of forbidden knowledge. One has journeyed through the eons, uncovering the terrifying, profound origins of those beings humanity would come to call demons. The Watchers, these celestial rebels, must now be reframed in the mind, not merely as grotesque monsters of pure evil, but as fallen pioneers, beings who, driven by an overwhelming combination of lust, pride, and misguided compassion, shattered the very boundary between heaven and earth. They were the first to cross the sacred line, to mingle the divine with the mortal, to introduce cosmic chaos into human order. Their transgression was not just an act of defiance, it was, in a perverse sense, an act of dark creation, birthing new forms of life and new forms of knowledge, albeit profoundly corrupted ones. Their story serves as a haunting reflection on the seductive danger of knowledge, of the irresistible allure of power that is not earned through wisdom and divine grace, but seized through transgression and defiance. It speaks to the ultimate, catastrophic cost of divine rebellion, where even beings of pure light, originally conceived in perfection, can be twisted by desire and hubris, leading to an eternal, agonizing fall from grace. One grasps the profound irony. Their yearning for earthly connection led only to their eternal separation. Their desire to enlighten led, instead, to humanity's profound corruption and suffering. Their tale is not just ancient history, it is a primal warning, a foundational myth that resonates with the deepest aspects of the human condition. It compels one to look inward, to examine the very impulses within one's own being. If angels, beings of celestial perfection and divine purpose, can succumb so catastrophically to desire, if they can fall from grace and become beings of such profound darkness, then what truly protects any of us? What makes one so certain that one is safe from the same insidious fate, from the subtle corruptions of pride, lust, or the hunger for forbidden knowledge? The boundary between human and demonic, between righteousness and corruption, is not as fixed as one might wish to believe. One is left with a sense of immense awe, a chilling awareness of perpetual danger, and the unsettling weight of unresolved cosmic truth. The Watchers' chains may echo from the abyss, but their influence remains, a testament to the enduring power of forbidden knowledge and the eternal cost of cosmic transgression. Their story is the genesis of hell, the origin point of all demonic law, a chilling testament to the fact that the greatest horrors often begin not with malice, but with a single, fateful glance, a single, misguided desire, shattering the very fabric of creation. Their fall forever changed the universe, and now, it has irrevocably changed your understanding of it. Because if angels can become monsters, what are you becoming?